The woman returned home from her trip only to be shocked by the sight of her husband's clothes strewn about and a strange woman lying in their bed. The woman was surprised by Anne's calm demeanor, and helped the woman tidy up her clothes before leaving the house with their 2 children. She headed to the bank, withdrew all their savings, and grabbed a handgun, and then gave her son $3,500 to buy a car, planning to head to Boston. However, George refused to leave his father, arguing that since Anne had never worked, they wouldn't be able to survive without him. Despite this, Anne insisted on leaving. Upon arriving in Boston, Anne ran into Nick, a former suitor. Hoping to find a new father for her children, she decided to start a new relationship with him. Unfortunately, she discovered Nick was bankrupt. When she went to the restroom, Nick stole all the money from her purse, leaving her unable to pay for their meal. In a moment of despair, Officer Will came to her rescue, paying for her meal and actively pursuing her. Soon, Anne and Will were engaged. However, George detested Will's rude behavior. One day, while out shopping with her sons, Anne encountered a group of disabled children and donated all $500 to them. Upon learning this, Will angrily berated Anne, demanding she compensate him with her necklace. George, trying to protect Anne, was knocked down by Will, and immediately grabbed a weapon to defend George, stunning Will. She tore off her necklace, threw it at Will, and quickly fled with George. They moved into a cheap apartment, and George suggested Anne seek help from their father, but her pride wouldn't allow it. She began searching for a new target and soon ran into Jack, another former suitor who had become a millionaire, and hoped to start a new romance with him, only to find out he had a young girlfriend. George advised Anne to give up, but she was confident Jack still liked her. It wasn't until she overheard Jack mocking her age that she finally realized she was no longer young. Undeterred, Anne continued searching for new prospects until a series of harassment and being kicked off a bus led her to decide to stop relying on men. She started working part-time at a paint store, where she excelled at choosing the perfect colors for customers. Business flourished, and soon the owner, Bob, noticed her. He proposed, and Anne happily accepted. However, on the day of their engagement, a woman appeared, claiming to be Bob's wife. It turned out Bob had a mental illness, and Anne was the 6th woman he had proposed to. In the end, Bob's wife compensated Anne $5,000, feeling utterly hopeless, and decided to take her sons to Los Angeles. However, George refused to leave, wanting to stay and attend school, and felt George had abandoned her, while George believed and never cared about him and didn't even know his preferences. Feeling a bit lost, Anne had no choice but to leave with Robbie. Along the way, they picked up many people until they encountered a couple. The girl and Robbie both dreamed of becoming actors. However, the man's expression was strange. Finally, in a remote area, the man demanded they stop the car. To their horror, he pulled out a knife, held Anne hostage, and demanded they hand over all their valuables.